This is a continuation from my last video, Octavia Butler's Wild Seed. I'm just going to pick up from where I first left off. So, I hope you watched the first video. Anyanwu's ears and eyes were far sharper than those of other people. She had increased their sensitivity deliberately after the first time men came stalking her, their machetes ready, their intentions clear. She had to kill 7 times on that terrible day, 7 frightened men who could have been spared, and she had nearly died herself. All because she let people come upon her unnoticed, never again. Now, for instance, she was very much aware of the lone intruder who prowled the bush near her. He kept himself hidden, moved towards her like smoke, but she heard him, following him with her ears. Giving no outward sign, she went on tending her garden. As long as she knew where the intruder was, she had no fear of him. Perhaps he would lose his courage and go away. Meanwhile, there were weeds among her cocoa yams and her herbs. The herbs were not traditional ones grown or gathered by her people. Only she grew them as medicines for healing. Used them when people brought their sick to her. Often she needed no medicines, but she kept that to herself. She served her people by giving them relief from pain and sickness. Also, she enriched them by allowing them to spread the word of her abilities to neighboring people. She was an oracle, a woman through whom a god spoke. Strangers paid heavily for her services. They paid her people, then they paid her. That was as it should have been. Her people could see that they benefited from her presence and that they had no reason to fear her abilities. Thus she was protected from them, and they from her, most of the time. But now and then, one of them overcame his fear and found reason to try and end her long life. The intruder was moving close, still not allowing her to see him. No person of honest intentions would approach so stealthily. Who was he then? A thief? A murderer? Someone who blamed her for the death of a kinsman or some other misfortune? During her various youths, she had been blamed several times for causing misfortune. She had been fed poison in a test for witchcraft. Each time she had taken the test willingly, knowing that she had been bewitched, knowing that no ordinary man with his scanty knowledge of poisons could harm her. She knew more about poisons, had ingested more poison in her long life than any of her people could imagine. Each time she passed the test, her accusers had been ridiculed and fined for their false charges. In each of her lives, as she grew older, people ceased to accuse her, though not all ceased to believe she was a witch. Some sought to take matters into their own hands and kill her regardless of the test. The intruder finally moved on to the narrow path to approach her openly. Now that he had enough of spying on her, she looked up as though becoming aware of him for the first time. So, this is just the second part of Octavia Butler's Wild Seed. And I hope that you respond back and tell me what you think. Have a good day. This is Jay Meister signing out.